Hi, I'm David Bell for Kiwi Connection. Jorges Luis Borges was an Argentinian short story writer, a poet, an intellectual whose life spanned the 20th century. He had an extraordinary imagination, an enviable gift for leading the reader into impossible worlds in which chaos becomes a sort of order, and the infinite supply of both space and time of necessity generate replicas, both true and false, infinitely. Doctor Who fan clubs today will instantly recognise the paradox. One such story was called The Library of Babel. The Old Testament story of the Tower of Babel is well known. It says that God was not at all happy with the way the human race had made a tower that reached so far up into the sky that it rivaled even his glory. So he did what I suppose any self-respecting God would do, and raised the tower to the earth. And just for good measure, he scattered the human race so they would never unify and rise up to rebuild the tower. More than that, he made each group speak a different language. Essentially, that was God's masterstroke. The New Testament story of Pentecost is the story of how God kind of reversed some of that. Some, but not all. Because not all consequences can be reversed. Another stroke of genius. Well, Borges' story extrapolates the Old Testament post-Tower world into the far future. And this becomes the Library of Babel. I was thinking about this story recently and wondered whether or not the illusion of valid multiple processes could be applied to a current dilemma in the Methodist Church of New Zealand, Haahi, Weteriana or Aotearoa. Imagine a railway station. There's a train all set to go, Route 2016. It's got some passengers on it. They all signed up for this ride knowing that it would traverse some strange, difficult terrain, but it will eventually arrive at the station called Just the Bee's Knees. Let's call them as a group the hopefuls, because the end of the journey would see just two of them declared the president and the vice president of the conference, P and VP. But just in case a decision couldn't be reached about the P and VP from among the hopefuls, there were included a couple of other passengers. These were the existing P and VP, and they'd signed up to a similar journey back in the day. They knew that if none of this group of hopefuls made it, they'd have to carry on as the P and VP. The crew controlling this train are the station master general and a sort of trip advisor who carries all the information about the schedules and the rules for travel. That's train 2016. It begins its scheduled journey. But there's a stop along the way that few folk anticipated. The train stops at the dreaded station called the point of no return. News has come that none of the hopefuls have been selected to become the new P and VP. So they have to get off the train at the point of no return. And then train 2016 starts off to cruise along to journey's end, which might make for a very, very long but satisfying trip for existing P and VP. Now, imagine a second train on a parallel track. It's empty. There's no one aboard yet. It's not at the conference terminus platforms, but elsewhere, a station just a short time away. The same crowd that saw off 2016 are still milling around, knowing that 2016 has P and VP aboard for the long haul. The voice over the loudspeakers announces a new hopefuls train will soon depart from a platform not far away. It's unknown at present if any new hopefuls will gather at the second platform to hop on 2017's journey, which also promises to be quite eventful. But whether or not 2017 does get any hopefuls on board, 2017 will have to include existing P and VP, but they're on 2016. Or are they? Their functions having been dispensed with, they've achieved a quantum-like status. They might be here, they might be there. It's all oddly like another Borges short story. A library full of books about literary journeys announced and begun, but where endings have become ambiguous, and the confusion of voices, a paradox in itself. The problems of an infinite universe and infinite multiverses are elegantly laid out in John Barrow's The Infinite Book. But who knows how the problems of trains 2016 and 2017 will end? Maybe in a train wreck, maybe not.